My name is Heather Rose, and I am starting my YouTube channel. Today marks the 6-year anniversary of the last time I ever spent the night incarcerated. And I may not look like I've been incarcerated much, but I spent about 10 years in jail as much as I was out of jail. I was born into a family of alcoholics and addicts and enablers and abusers, and I spent the first 30 years of my life trying to be just like them. And now I have spent the last 10 years learning how to be me. I've already recorded this once and scrapped it. I've probably recorded this more than once and scrapped it. I've been trying to start this channel since the day I walked out of those doors. I've known I was supposed to help people since I was 15 years old. But the people around me, especially my guardian, treated me better when I was rebellious. And so eventually, around the age of 12, I gave up on my schooling, even though I was a straight A student, honor roll all the way. IQ, I think, was 141 in elementary school. I've lost a few points over the years of all of the hardest types of drug use that one could imagine. And I spent about 15 years in the belly of the whale, as one would say in Sunday school. I was raised Southern Baptist, and I got pregnant on my 15th birthday, and I fell asleep that night praying. After everyone had tried to get me to get an abortion, I fell asleep that night praying. And I dreamed that I was on a stage in front of a bunch of girls that were either pregnant or holding babies. And I thought I had fumbled the ball when I was 30, homeless in Myrtle Beach, addicted to crack and heroin. Not necessarily in that order. I woke up on the beach that day, not like from a sleep, not from a literal sleep, but I was sitting on the beach one morning as the sun was rising, and fentanyl had just hit the streets, and I knew I could do better. You know, now that I had traveled all over the East Coast, I had seen all kinds of people, and I had met all kinds of people, and I knew that there were so many good people in the world that didn't live the way that I had lived, that I was shown, you know. And I saw all these new ways of peopling, and I knew I could do something else. I just didn't know how to do it. For some reason, I always felt really insignificant unless I was supporting other people, even though I didn't support my own kids. I felt like I was protecting people on the street somehow back then. And even after that, I didn't get it together right then. I did, however, leave the beach with a Suboxone strip to wean myself down and get off of the opiates altogether, because I didn't want to die. I had spent the week prior to this experience, I had spent watching people overdose and resuscitating people while everybody else left. And so I knew that had it been me, nobody would have been there to help me. And I didn't want to die. I didn't know how to live, but I didn't want to die. And so I bought that Suboxone strip, and I got on a bus, and I came home to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I spent Christmas with my children for the first time in 3 years. It was probably emotionally the best experience I had ever had up until that point. And then boredom set in, and I got on Facebook. It wasn't just the boredom either. It was also because my grandmother, who was a malignant narcissist, was constantly on me, reminding me of all of the mistakes that I had made. And I had to get away from her. So I got on Facebook and I started reaching out to friends that I didn't used to get high with. And one of them popped up in my DMs, a guy I knew from high school, and asked me if I wanted to go out with him. Sure, I'll go out with you. I kind of had a crush on him too, back in the day. So he comes and picks me up from my friend's house, who was also just starting out in recovery. But he had about a year of sober time, and his mom, he lived with his mom. So I went to stay with him to get away from my grandmother. And this was in January, the following January. Got with a guy, the guy that came and picked me up from my friend's house. We went out and went riding around in the woods. And I learned that he was a methamphetamine dealer. I had never had a problem with methamphetamine until I did. I was introduced to that problem that night. And him and I stayed side by side for the next 6 months probably. It was a really toxic, abusive situation. Is all I had ever known was abusive situations, from even childhood all the way up. All I had known was abusive situations. This one was fun. So stuck around even after it got physical. He was selling methamphetamine. I was enjoying the lifestyle. I was homeless in Myrtle Beach just a few months before this. And now I had the money to get hotel rooms, nice hotel rooms if I wanted to. We had places that we could go hang out and people that wanted to see us. It felt good. And so he got arrested for meth and guns. And I picked up his business and I carried it on for about 6 months with his clients, his customers, for about 6 months until I got caught with 9.5 grams of methamphetamine. And I was arrested June 12th of 2018 for that possession with intent to distribute. I was looking at 12 years in prison. Miraculously, I got bonded out of jail. Never been bonded out before. I've been in jail countless times. I know 4 different states and like 9 different counties. Everywhere I went to jail. And I had never been bonded out. This last time I did, though. I got bonded out by some guy that I had only met once. And the only reason I met him is because I didn't have a ride. And he had been in my DMs, so I asked him for a ride. And he bonded me out. So I got out in July. I had been in there for about a month. I got out in July. And then I was out until September 11th of 2018. I had gotten right back into the business, and my people were getting ripped off, so I started selling again so that I didn't have to worry about my folks. And I got arrested again on September 11th of 2018. And there was a moment when I was getting loaded into the back of the paddy wagon. It was like a flip switched. And I handed that cop my meth pipe and told him I'll never need one of these again. And he laughed and he said, okay, well, I won't charge you with it then. He said it was because I gave it to him instead of hiding it from him. So, I guess he just disposed of it. But I went to the jail and I went to court and I got sentenced to 3 years instead of 12 because the circumstances and how it happened, if I had taken it to a grand jury, I could have gotten it dismissed. My lawyer didn't like that I knew that. So she went and talked to the prosecutor and they agreed on 3 years. And I served 3 years in prison. And I got out on June the 24th of 2020. And while I was in there, I started meditating. When I first got to prison, I signed up for every voluntary class I could sign up for. Church groups, peer support groups, everything that I could do to learn how to be better. I signed up for it and I took every class I could get into. I have a stack of certifications that I earned while I was in prison. And I also signed up for Stratford Career Institute's drug and alcohol treatment specialist. And I got a diploma with highest honors for that. And I was released. When I got released on June 24th of 2020, I had 3 months left on my sentence. I was sent to live in a halfway house for those 3 months. I got off a month early and I went back to stay at my grandmother's house. And that was due to, there was still some codependency issues and there was still some fear of the unknown. There's still fear of the unknown. I still carry fear of the unknown. I walked through it though. I'm walking through it right now. So I left the halfway house a month early without notice. And I think I upset the director of the halfway house. She called me and told me I should have let her know that that was my plan so she could have had somebody else set to take my place. And she's right, I should have, but it wasn't my plan. He called me and told me that I was getting off a month early because I had passed all my drug tests and I had taken all my classes and I was going to all my meetings and I didn't want to be there. It didn't feel like it was right for me. So I left that same day. I packed all my stuff up and I went to my grandmother's the same day. And I got a job as a caregiver through my cousin, the lady that my cousin worked for. She overlooked my history because she could see who I was. And I worked as a caregiver for about a year. And then I met a guy while I was still in the halfway house. I met a guy. It looked like a soulmate situation once we started talking, but we didn't start talking right away. We hung out once while I was still at the halfway house. I had a home pass. I was at my grandmother's for my brother's birthday, and he came by to see me and gave me a ride to see another friend that I hadn't seen since before I was arrested. And that was it. And then a few months later, we reconnected on Facebook and started talking, and he was in a halfway house now. He had just gotten out of jail. And I wanted to be helpful. So, and I kind of had a crush on him, and I wanted to be helpful. And I wanted to show him, that there was kindness in the world. Because judging from the conversation we had that one time we hung out, I could tell that he didn't have a lot of faith in humanity. So I thought maybe I would show him some. And I offered to come and get him and take him to get something to eat. And he informed me that he was completely broke. And I told him that was okay. I had money. And so I took him to Taco Bell. We went and hung out at a pond called the Duck Pond. Anybody from Knoxville knows the Duck Pond in Fountain City. We hung out there for our first date. I guess you would call it a date. And then we developed a trauma bond. We shared, our stories and our experiences and mirrored each other a little bit. and bonded. And I spent the next 3 years, 2 years, the next 2 years in another toxic relationship. After all the work I had done, all the classes I had taken, all of the effort and the healing and the praying that I had done, and I was in another toxic relationship. And I was in it. I married him. And it was painful. It was really, really painful. I had never endured, even through abusive relationships that I had been through in the past, I had never experienced anything like this before. It was more painful than getting my nose broken 3 times and getting my ribs broken, even though he never touched me. Well, he did once, but he felt bad, so he never put his hands on me again. I finally left him, and this last 3 years I have spent healing from that and really reflecting, earning. I've earned up to my Reiki master teacher level in my Reiki practice. I practice daily in different ways. I don't do the same routine every single day, but I practice daily in different ways. And I think I'm ready. I know I'm ready to support other people that have been through what I've been through. I'm past ready. I'm overdue. The hurdle was creating this YouTube channel. And I've imagined it 1,000 different ways. I've attempted it hundreds of times. And now I'm sitting here, as I record this, I'm sitting here judging myself for what I've shared so far. And wondering if I've shared enough and all the stuff. But I can't sit here and pretend like I'm not going through this, because that would be fake. So I figured the best thing I could do is just get on here and start recording and tell you the truth about what I'm going through right now and what I've been through in the past and what I've learned. And I'm a spiritual life coach, certified Reiki master teacher with a diploma in drug and alcohol treatment. And I'm not traditional and I'm not conventional. I'm the antithesis of traditional and conventional. And I think I'm supposed to be. I think that's the whole point. Is that I need to just get on here and share myself with the world. Because all the stories that my ego tells me are not true. People do want to listen to me. Just not the people that I want to listen to me. I can't choose who receives the message. I can only share it. And know that it's going to get to the right ears. And I wanted to do a 30-minute video for my first video and then build the time up as I go. And I'm trying to remember my bullet points. They're on the phone that I didn't think about it before I started recording, but they're on this phone that I'm recording on. So I have this other, hang on. I don't know why I said hang on, I'm recording a video. But anyway, I think I may be able to access them from this other device. Just to see if I have shared everything that I wanted to share. Oh, yeah, I forgot. While I was in prison, this was supposed to go back there, but while I was in prison, I went up for parole 5 months into the 3-year sentence. And I was granted parole on the condition that I completed a 9-month program called Therapeutic Community. And I did that. And in that program, my mission was more clarified. because the counselor who was assigned to me decided that it would be a good idea to put me in a leadership position. She was pulling me out of my comfort zone, and she insisted that I would be a good liaison for the program. We had 4-month terms. I learned a little bit about politics through this experience as well, but a liaison essentially was like the in-between from, if the inmates had a problem, or the inmates had a problem, then they would go to the liaison, and then the liaison would either find a way to handle it themselves or take it to a counselor, whatever the situation called for. And I did that, and that really clarified for me how I would share, or how I would support other people. And I shared my life story while I was in there. You have to share your story in order to graduate the program. I shared it in April of 2020, and I graduated the program in April 24th of 2020, and then I was released 2 months after that. So that was something I wanted to share in this video. And now I'm the founder of Compass Rose Healing Arts and Jewelry. I have a few offerings, I guess you would say, that I've developed, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the only thing I'll be doing. I really feel like I don't really need to get an idea in my mind of how it should look. I just need to take the steps forward and share my story and get this video posted and not talk myself out of it. And I wanted to explain that why this channel exists. I think I've done that. I think I've shared everything I wanted to share for this video, for my introduction to YouTube video. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not even going to edit it. I'm probably just going to upload it. And whatever happens, happens. I want to say I love you. I may not know you. If you don't know me in real life, I still love you anyway. And no matter what you're going through, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes you are the light. So, yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel. Compass Rose Healing Arts and Jewelry. I'm Heather Rose, and I will see you again.